The next device we will tell you about was developed by the German mathematician and entrepreneur Holger Thorsten Schubart.
So what are we converting? We are not just converting neutrinos, we are converting the entire invisible spectrum of radiation. There are different types of radiation, including neutrinos. Let's take them as an example. And today we can precisely determine each individual neutrino. We know their quantity per square centimeter per second. And since they have mass, they also have energy. So you need a converter. In our case, it is the graphene that is in motion. This particular motion of graphene allows us to clearly observe its microvibrations, or, in other words, a graphene wave, i.e. vibrating graphene, because it receives impulses from various types of radiations from temperature differences, from various radiations, such as neutrinos, which transmit a small impulse on the atomic nucleus. And by contacting with various energies, atoms of graphene start vibrating and creating oscillations. This is the movement of graphene. And now we want to convert this motion into direct current. To do this, we have a so-called graphene sandwich. In this regard, there are very good scientific publications that describe the compression of graphene between two doped silicon wafers under high pressure in a high vacuum, and despite this, graphene continues to vibrate and move. This graphene sandwich is also called a quantum dot. So, quantum dot is a scientific term. This quantum dot is also very well described in the literature. And what happens in the quantum dot? In the quantum dot, the graphene moves up and down, pulses emerge, and the oblique scattering of electrons at the correct angle and appropriate doping of the materials results in the flow of electrons in one direction. Electrons flow in one direction as a direct current. And now you just have to understand that our power cube is not one big quantum dot, but the integration of many small quantum dots, like a mosaic. The small quantum dot is very accurately described in terms of science and techniques. What can be precisely determined is the microvibrations of graphene, the ability to drive electrons into directional motion, and the ability to obtain direct electric current, as in the solar cell. If we take a small solar cell that works with an output of X, then a second solar cell next to it, with the same external conditions, produces twice the power. And the oscillator that we use, which is the oscillator generator, is of course no different. The power cube is basically a large solar cell folded up into itself for the non-visible radiation spectra. There are quantum dots on these wafers, which are the vapor-deposited graphenes. On this issue, there are some nice simulations and calculations. This is also well represented on the internet and by some scientists as well. And that means that the combination of our knowledge of the energy we have at our disposal and our understanding of the technology, how it works in the context of engineering, thinking, and implementation, has resulted in the power cube. The power cube is now simply the realization of knowledge, technical implementation, and execution. We start with test cubes, which may not yet be as good as the ones that will eventually be installed in the consumer's basements. Currently, we are working in collaboration with the industry because we won't be able to manufacture these power cubes in the required quantity on our own. Our approach is as follows. We create the blueprint for the devices, we provide a complete knowledge base for them, and we deal with intellectual properties for the devices, including patents and trademarks. And with the help of artificial intelligence, we transition from simulated implementation from the precise component calculations directly into production. You can think of the production process in this way. I'll just let you in on a few secrets. The power cube is not assembled in one location worldwide, and every component is developed in-house. It is crucial to understand that many components of the power cube are existing electronic components that are are already available on the market. That is the power cube. The critical aspect of this power cube, the innovation, is the neutrino voltaic wafer, and we have various manufacturers producing it using these plasma processes. Currently, we are not capable of producing 100,000 or 500,000 or 1 million power cubes. Instead, in collaboration with the industry, we will eventually be able to produce these 1 million or 2 million or 5 million power cubes. We stand for this shift towards these new technologies because I am personally absolutely convinced that this is the only way to bring about a systematic change in order to compensate for the disadvantages of the existing system within the next 10 to 20 years. Because the system, in its current form, is becoming increasingly unreliable as the distance increases. This means that by laying even thinner lines of wires over longer distances, the central system will eventually become more fragile and more vulnerable. The advantages we have over conventional renewable energies are rather simple. This is a base load capable renewable energy because it is available 24/7, 365 days a year. In this context, it is important that the basic costs become significantly lower because the entire maintenance, transport costs, provisioning costs, and grid costs for energy simply do not apply. Therefore, energy in the future, if intelligently controlled, meaning even lower consumption, can be significantly cheaper. And I believe by then we will have achieved a great deal for the consumer. We can offer them reliable energy that is not at risk. That means there is no supply security issue, that power suddenly goes out due to natural disasters. They always have it, and it is secured at an affordable price. And if we can contribute a part to that, then I have fulfilled my mission. I want to emphasize again that, for me, there are three fundamental pillars that support our society. The most important pillar is education. Education is alpha and omega, okay? The second is energy, and the third is water. In other words, if the global population has education, knowledge, enough energy, and enough water, then the quality of life on this planet will significantly improve. We will have fewer wars and fewer problems, and procuring water and energy are technical prerequisites. It's about giving knowledge to the people. We aim for it, and that is also the mission of our company. And everyone at home on their computer, on their mobile phone, who has understood a bit, I simply want to ask you today, also in your interest, for your society, for your organization, to share this knowledge. And that doesn't mean that they should advertise. They should pass on the knowledge so that others can pick it up, possibly improve the knowledge, and even better solutions can emerge for all of us. Because even where we are today, even with this fantastic product like the Power Cube, is far from the end of the line. Because technology, physics, and science always evolve, and we just have to be careful that the existing system does not limit this knowledge advantage and try to guide it for, I would say, lower motives, which are mostly monetary motives. And I invite everyone who is able to absorb knowledge for themselves to spread knowledge and help with it. And it's not just about the technologies we have, it's also about many other great technologies that exist in the world. That's why I'm personally a big fan of the Creative Society. Because the term creative, a creative society, implies exactly what is desired here. It is desired that people create solutions out of creativity. With solutions, the world becomes a little better for everyone. And when we have achieved that, this would mean that everyone has contributed their part.